biggest thing you need to do at a grad school is make sure that you found a setting you're comfortable in. I often recommend going into a job that you were given out of an internship because you've already learned the foundations of how that system runs, what you're going to be expected to do. And if that isn't feasible because it's out of state or it has some other way on the other parts of your life, find somewhere that you feel comfortable.
I like that. So what if somebody wanted to get in a particular setting but they didn't have that clinical experience? Would you still recommend that they pursue that setting?
I would. I think right out of school you have to be a risk taker and you have to acknowledge this is the learning time. So if you are thinking in your mind, my dream job is in XYZ setting, really go try to see if it's what you think it is, because that first period, that year or two out of school is the time to try and the time to figure out what you like, what you don't like, and to build from there.
So what would you say to somebody who, say, wanted to go into applied functional science? That's what you did right out of school.
Yep. I would say that you have to have a strong outpatient orthopedic background. So working in an outpatient setting really catapults you into understanding those basic movements and basic anatomy, kinesiology, biomechanics that you need to know in order to actually learn the functional science. I've often seen new grads come into functional science and not have a strong backing in orthopedics, and they just look dumbfounded and confused because they don't know, which parts are moving, let alone how are they all supposed to move synergistically. So just making sure that you're getting into applied functional science at the right time in your career so you can get the most out of it is what I would recommend.
What are some of the things you would recommend for a new grad to do coming out of school to be as successful as possible and get the most out of that job?
In general, there are definitely things you need to show up with. I would say make sure you're ready, whether it's professionally ready, logistically ready, where you're living, what you wear to work every day, being open and available to feedback. Make sure that you're really ready for the job. The second thing is making sure that you come up, with the amount of respect that you need, understanding that you probably are the bottom of the totem pole right now, but aside from what you've learned in school or your internships, you need to figure out, how do I approach this company? How do I integrate myself? And then once that respect and trust is built, then you can give your 2 cents of, well, here's a specialty I learned, I would love to integrate this. So then you really form committed relationships with your colleagues that isn't coming from somewhere like I'm coming into the clinic and I want to just change everything. It's more, here's something we've been learning cutting edge that I'd like to introduce to make this clinic better. Also understanding you need to be in that retention phase. When you're a new grad, you just need to act like a sponge, because the more you can see, the more you can learn, the better you will be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because you'll be able to look back on that experience. You need to make sure that you are relaying that you're open, available, vulnerable, willing to take criticism, you're willing to give feedback, that you're just almost like an amoeba. You're coming and going with the clinic and the staff members, because people who are very too hard set in their positions, they will make a name for themselves, but a lot of times it's not the name you want made for yourself. You want to be that team player who also has all the specialties, so someone down the line can come call upon you and use you as a resource. So I would just say making sure that you're coming with an open mind is really important, regardless of if it's acute, because I know acute can be very intimidating at first. It still is a very much ask as much questions as you can, get as much feedback as you can, because even though today the patient may not have benefited 100% by your activities, maybe someone tomorrow will benefit 100%, and that's what matters.